Lisa Hoffman, the Homebody Realtor with RE/MAX Signature Homes. Today I'm going to talk about bidding wars. For those of you looking for a quick takeaway, it's that the highest offer does not always win the bidding war. There are many things that go into a seller's decision, and that includes terms and what other things you can offer to make the sale as easy as possible for them. For those of you who are serious about winning bidding wars and really want to know more, I'm not going to give away all my secrets, but I'll break it down a little bit more for you so you have a better understanding of what I'm talking about. In an ideal world, a seller would want their home to go for the most amount of money in the shortest period of time with the least amount of stress. So how do we as agents, you as a buyer, and of course we loop our loan officer in there, make that happen? The first part is money. Money is obviously very important because they're selling their house. They're not, donating it away. They do want to get a fair market price. I say you need to be competitive. What competitive means is different in different markets. So right now we are in a strong seller's market. So a lot of things are going above asking. But there is not a magic number. It's not like, hey, we have to come in 50 above asking. We have to come in at what that house will appraise at or higher based on your ability. Now, money is not always the key factor. Sometimes it is. If you're looking at a flip, if you're looking at an REO, a bank-owned property, if it is somebody who lost their job and they need to use the money from this home to support them until they, get settled, then yeah, money is really important, and they're gonna hold out a little longer, and they're gonna put up with an annoying client who's going to upset them because they need that money. In many cases, it's a combination of things. So if you are competitive, but you are slightly below the highest the highest offer, you have a really good shot because of the other things you're offering. It's one of the reasons that you will see a house sell, and for my clients, if we lose a bidding war, I always let them know what the house sold for and what the terms were, as far as I can see. If I know the agent and I can get that information, I pass that along after the sale has closed as well. And a lot of times we'll see something sell below our offer, but it was a cash deal. So why are cash deals so valuable? The seller, even if you use a loan, they walk away with a check for the whole amount of the house, the whole sale price. So why do people like cash deals? Well, for two reasons. One, they close faster because the bank is not involved. Secondly, they don't have to appraise. Closing faster. That's the second thing. They want it to sell in the least amount of time. As far as the timeline, if the seller needs to find a home and the house is, the deal is contingent on the seller finding a new home, and you are somebody who's renting and you have an awesome, understanding landlord, if you are renting month to month and you can move out whenever, if you live at home, if you have another house and you don't need to sell it in order to afford this house, that puts you in a really powerful position because time is a commodity that you can use. So it's not a monetary, position of power, but you're using time to say, we're gonna make your life easier. Let's say you are FHA, for example, and FHA is often unfairly, in my opinion, looked down on by some buyers. It does require, or some sellers, it does require a little bit more work on their end, some things that need to, pass the appraisal. You can say, look, I understand there's peeling paint on this house, but I'm serious about buying this house, and I will paint the outside of it, and I will pay for that because I want to buy your home. And that puts you on par with a conventional loan. Doesn't put you above, but if you had a conventional loan, you wouldn't need to paint it in the first place, or you wouldn't need to make other repairs. So you know, in attorney review, we do put a cap on that amount. But that's something we can do to make life a little easier, take some of the stress away from our offer and make it simpler for the seller. And I typically recommend as is pending an environmental and structural inspection. What does that mean? That means the big stuff, the roof, the foundation, oil tank, asbestos, mold, termites. We will expect you to fix that, as would anyone. But we're not going to ask for the little things, you know. We're not going to say, hey, we want $500 because the doorbell doesn't work. We can waive part of the appraisal or all of the appraisal. When I talk about being competitive, I typically do a CMA, you know, for my clients. I can confidently say to my clients, look, here are all these houses and they are appraising. And if we waive appraisal, typically it's on the seller's agent to make sure the house appraises. But if we waive appraisal, I'm gonna take my comps and I'm gonna come and I'm gonna talk to the appraiser and I'm gonna show them this so that they understand, you know, kind of do their job for them a little bit because they have a lot that they're doing. And I'm gonna print this out and I'm gonna show this to them. Now, you always have to keep that money, you always have to be able to pay for the appraisal in case it doesn't appraise. I've never had that happen. We have never waived appraisal and then had to pay the difference or had to pay part of the difference, but you need to have that money set aside. When I was in real estate school, they talked about these buyer's letters, right? And essentially what a buyer's letter is a picture of you and your family, and you look as cute as possible. And if you have a dog, you bring the dog in, and you know, you all smile, and it's this awesome, you know, photo, and you write this letter, and you basically introduce yourself to the seller. And I actually have a format that I share with my buyers to follow to make it. It's a great format, you know. I'll work with you one-on-one and we'll tweak that letter. But where we talk about the home, and then we also talk about ourselves, and we kind of, you know, I would say consider it like a cover letter for buying a house. And I never thought it made a difference. I'm like, look, if you're selling the house, you're not gonna care about, like, you know, that these people have a cute dog. I can tell you it makes a difference. My first bidding war that I won were with people who are now, you know, very good friends of mine. And I knew they saw this house, they fell in love with it. And first day on the market, I saw it, I told them, you have to come out, you have to see it. It was a vacant house. And the seller, you know, had raised his family there, and he was selling the house. He was already living someplace else. You know, he was using the money. He bought a sports car that he always wanted, which is awesome, good for him. And, you know, I didn't know all of this, and we did this buyer's letter. And the listing agent called me and she said, you're not highest and best, but he fell in love with the letter and they're accepting your offer. Give me a call. You know, when we find the right house for you, we will sit down and see what you're capable of doing, where, you know, you can really stand out, and we will put in offers that highlight, you know, your strengths and really set you apart from the competition.